All right, I'm a little drunk. Welcome back to episode 2 of Is Chicago in the West or the Central Division? Welcome back to E2G Hockey with Dan and Tyson and Derek. Today, in the third episode of this installment of our Seattle expansion draft special, Danny has brought it to my attention that on the last episode that he expertly curated, we mistook. I think that's that.
It mistook words.
Yeah, we mentioned St. Louis and Vladimir Tarasenko for quite a large component of the episode, without being privy to the information that they were actually in the West, and we should have talked about Chicago instead. So we're not going to re-record everything. I'm completely content with rolling with everything and have no animosity towards Danny for making this humongous mistake in this fantasy hockey special. So on that note, I think the Chicago Blackhawks are the greatest place to take it off. Danny, who do you think Seattle's going to take from Chicago?
Nikita Zadorov. Lock it in.
All right.
And why don't you think about it a little bit?
Who else do you take? Are you taking Brett Conley, who hasn't been able to find roots anywhere? Are you taking Malcolm Subban in another expansion draft? I mean, that's the one upside that Malcolm Subban really has in all this is he's been taken an expansion draft before. So he's like, I know how the transition works, right?
Listen, while Adam Gaudette isn't from Vancouver, he previously played in Vancouver. So it makes a lot of sense to me. So that's going to be my pick. I like Gaudette.
Man, yeah, I could go multiple different directions here. I do like Gaudette. I feel like he's a guy that has a lot of potential and just hasn't found a home. You know, maybe you'd find it in Seattle. Who knows? I think Zadorov's kind of the safer pick. I think that's more likely to happen. Just a big physical defenseman, stay-at-home guy. He's going to hit everything he can. I like Nikita Zadorov.
He is an RFA, so they have to sign him.
Yep.
And that is a thing. And so is Gaudette, though. Gaudette will cost a lot less. Not a lot of guys on contract past this season. So Chicago did this well. Chicago handled this well. What are we thinking? Tyson? I'm going to defer to you on this one because Gaudette is an interesting one that was under my radar. I think Derek and I agree on Zadorov, but again, we have to come down to agreeing to terms. Now, what are we going to pay this guy?
Yeah, I think I do like the Zadorov pick. I think I need to look at the entire D roster of Seattle. I think Gaudette really is an appealing option to me. I think Vancouver, moved on from him a little quick. I think he is a guy that has a ton of potential. You saw that when he came in Vancouver's playoff run in 2019, 2020. So I really like that pick. I think he's a guy that could eventually slot into your top, 2 lines somewhere around there. But if not, he could play third, fourth, and really provide some scoring from there. So I'm not mad at Zadorov, but I like my Gaudette pick.
So here's our defensive core. We can do that real quick so we can take a look.
Yeah, just list them off real quick.
Troy Stetcher, Nathan Bellew, Julius Honka, Jake Bean, Tyson Berry, Oliver Killington.
Oh, man, they suck.
Yeah. I kind of like the Zadorov pick more and more, just in terms of who's going to be your shutdown defenseman.
Yeah, based on that list, I kind of like the Zadorov a little bit more. And, who are we to say when you and I are just bullying Tyson, our NHL insider here? But I think Zadorov makes more sense given the defenseman we've already taken. Now, Seattle will be able to take the time and kind of map this out a little bit more than we have, but yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, our offense and our center depth is perfectly fine. So bullied. Congratulations, you've been bullied.
I'm standing ground. I'm going to get you guys a Gaudette Kraken jersey when it comes out. 100%.
If you give me a signed rookie card, yeah, we'll take him.
Yeah,
easily.
All right. So we have looked in Chicago, which is in the West, and nobody to look at a map. Let's jump out to the most frustrating and potentially, I'll say, annoying team on this list, and that's the Anaheim Ducks. There was 2 players when we talked in pre-production about this, which felt like 5 hours ago at this point, we had 3 different names in mind. I'm going to go back to it. We had Hayden Fleury, we had Sonny Milano, and we had Adam Henrique, all for different reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Henrique is off the table now based off the decisions we've made in terms of the cap we've taken on. Right. And I would view that if Anaheim was willing to part with other pieces in exchange for losing that cap, they would do Henrique, right? But I feel I don't see that happening. Looking at this list here, is there any other name that we failed to mention, like Jacob Larson? Do they take Shattenkirk? I don't think so. But is there anybody that stands out to you guys? Oh, actually, the third player, Alexander Volkov. Excuse me. We mentioned a 4th guy. We looked at Volkov early as another potential. He's under contract. He's $700,000, and he's a forward player. That makes sense.
So full transparency, no idea who Volkov is. Don't know that guy at all.
Volkov has played around the league a little bit. He played in Anaheim. I think he was in Tampa before.
So he must be good. Played for Tampa.
Right.
The Leafs were rumored to be trying to get him. Yeah.
Okay. They got to take this guy.
Yeah. Actually, he would be really good for the Leafs. It would be really a great pick for him. Young guy, 23. And I'm seeing his name pop up on a lot of other boards in terms of a guy that has been like, he'll be one of those guys that be like, who? Like they really picked him over him.
He's a younger guy, so obviously, like, he's got most of his career ahead of him here. So if he does have some promise, that's a guy I would take a look at. I mean, the initial one that I thought for Anaheim was Hayden Fleury, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe was also drafted by Ron Francis, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're
pretty
right.
sure correct. Yeah.
I think he's a first rounder. Pretty sure he's a first round defenseman. But it's like, so he's definitely the guy I looked at first. But now I'm looking at our defense list, which is full of like younger kind of like prospect guys who could.
That's
really
kind of where
pan
I'm
out.
coming from. I think Fleury is very similar to like a Honka pick, like a little less so than Jake Bean. But I think if you're going to take a risk on someone, you've already taken Honka. I don't know if you take another risk on Fleury. That's where I think Sonny Milano makes a little bit of sense from a scoring depth option.
7th overall pick, though, selected by, I mean, Francis
Fleury,
was high
7th
on
overall?
Yeah. 2014.
He was high. It's I mean, he came in, he played his junior in Red Deer in the WHL, if I'm not mistaken, and was a really good offensive defenseman prospect. So there's a lot there. I just think you want a few sure things. And the sure thing is that Sonny Milano can contribute at the NHL level. He's had a few off the ice issues, and he maybe hasn't developed into exactly what, teams have wanted him to be so far. But I think you've taken a few chances defensively. I think this is one chance you could probably take offensively at a lower echelon and hopefully come out on the right side on.
This is actually a very controversial draft. If you look at the players that got drafted in there, Jake Virtanen was taken right before Fleury. Sonny Milano was taken in the same draft at 16th overall. Tony DeAngelo taken 19th overall. And the best player on the entire draft was 25 with David Pastrnak. So, Leon Draisaitl arguably as well. So
I've heard of him.
Yeah, it was a good draft. I'm liking the Sonny Milano pick more and more, but again, the Ron Francis connection is what's throwing me. But we did that with Jake Bean, and we need offense more than defense.
Yeah, I think Milano's got a high ceiling in terms of offensive ability. He hasn't been able to really sit in the top 6 role with any kind of team he's been with. He's just never been able to get that ice time. So who knows if he's given a little bit more ice time, what he's able to do with it. I think Milano's a good pick on this one.
All right, we go with Sonny Milano. Lock it in.
Lock it in.
All right, where are we jumping to next? Anybody have anywhere they want to go in particular?
We're out west. Should we stick with California?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, next California. Let's go LA.
Los Angeles, home of.
I think this was a tougher one. Yeah, a little bit.
I think a trade happens here.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think the Kings are trying to capitalize in the last years of Doughty and Kopitar, and I think something happens here.
They trying to capitalize on their contract? You think they're going to be like really pushing for playoffs and a run?
I still don't count them out on the Jack Eichel trade. I still don't count
Oh
them out.
no, yeah, I wouldn't count him out either.
And that's going to be very telling to me if there's like a deal in place there.
Yeah.
I mean, the only guy on here that they could lose some cap is Olimata.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he ends up going there. But I see them trying to dissuade them somehow. I just feel like the Kings are going to make a trade, and I don't think it's going to be as groundbreaking of anything.
Yeah, tough one. If I had to pick a guy, I like Athanasiou. I think his ability, I think he's an absolute game breaker. Obviously, he is very streaky with that. But I think he can really make a difference in a game, offensively. So I kind of take a flyer on him, and he's really doesn't have a big cap hit. Like, he's a center. Again, we said you can never have too much center depth, and he's got a lot of high end skill. I would probably take him.
One thing though is he's an RFA.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I go, can you get him for a contract you like or not? And then if not, I like Brendan Lemieux fine, but I wouldn't take Brendan Lemieux. Like, I think his role is limited. Like, he's proven, he was given even top 6 opportunity in New York before the trade happened. He had in camps and stuff, and he lost it. And he's like, and then he was given third line, and that didn't work out. And so he really was just an enforcer to me. And that's the role. But you're taking other guys who are doing, again, similar things, and you want that ceiling. I agree with your pick, Derek. The only other person I think who has a bit more of upside that I like here on this team might be Austin Wagner.
Yeah, he's the other guy I was probably considering right after Athanasiou. Honestly, I don't watch enough LA Kings games to really have a real strong opinion on it, but he's definitely the other guy I was looking at.
Tyson, who do you got?
I'm going to go off the board here. I think there are a few options. I like Athanasiou a lot. I think that's a logical pick. My 2 favorite players off this list are Martin Ferk and then Cale Clegg. I think Cale Clegg is a really great option too. And then Martin Ferk, I'm a big Ferk guy ever since he was in Halifax with McKinnon and Drouin. And then he was really, really good, I thought, in Detroit in every option that he got to kind of come up. And then LA, he was really, really good too for the AHL team and the NHL team. Martin Ferk's your poor man's Ovechkin. He's the guy that can put the puck in the net, has really good style, wears his jersey like high up on the elbow pads, which is a big point gain for me. So I do like Athanasiou. I think Ferk's a little bit of a pipe dream, but I like Clegg a lot, man. I really do.
We're all over the board on these guys.
Wow. And I think we're all around the same price point. I think the most expensive guy is Athanasiou. And he'll probably ask for $2 million, right?
Yeah,
he'll get 1.5. I'm not mad at an off the board pick here. I'm not mad at that. I think a trade.
I see a gamble here. I do think a trade could mix it up a little bit, but I think with the players that you see, I think you kind of have to take a little bit of a gamble with either a trade or an off the board pick. There's a decent amount of potential here, which I think is what LA gives you.
Yeah. And that's what they've had. And they've been in this rebuilding phase for probably too long at this point. I'll go with Cale Clegg. I like that pick. That's an off the board pick. And that could be that happened the exact same situation in Vegas for guys we've never even heard of, really. I'll back that pick.
Same. You got my blessing.
Love it.
Lock it in.
Lock it in, boys.
Lock it in.
All right. So let's stay out west. Let's stay in LA. Let's go to San Jose. That rhymed. Ooh. And of all of us, Derek spent the most time with this team. And this is a team that was a bit of a confusing one. I like one or two guys in this one. Okay. I see this being a gamble as well.
There we go.
Martin Jones is a hard no for me.
I agree.
Hard no. Be interested to see where that guy goes.
Ryan Donato is interesting, but Ryan Donato is also an RFA, and I don't feel great about it. I think I like Alex True.
Yeah, the minor league team played at the same arena as the NHL team. So we went to plenty of games when I was out in California, and Alex True was a very good player. A guy that I just like couldn't stop watching whenever I'd watch those AHL games there is Dylan Gambrell.
Yeah.
Like I could not stop watching that guy. Like not that he is very good offensively, but he's not gonna light it up. He's not gonna light up the points, but I'm telling you, he like never makes a mistake with a puck. Just executes every play he makes. Like he never makes a mistake. So I think he's kind of like a safe pick and a little bit of a high ceiling for him, I guess. So I kind of like Gambrell. Now we've definitely taken a decent amount of centers already. So in a way, I kind of think Donato might even make a little bit more sense, but I like that Gambrell guy a lot.
I can back that a lot. Tyson, you have any hard takes?
I like Gambrell. I think I was looking around the list. You have your Greg Patterin, you have your Jake Middleton, who I think are solid players. But I don't know why, but I really like the Donato pick. I just think there's something there. I was expecting him to be a little bit better early on in his career, and then he's kind of bounced around and just kind of not really settled in as much as you'd kind of thought that he was going to be, especially just projected early. So I like Donato. Like I think I'm locking that in. I think he's underrated offensively, solid kind of all around, and I think this is kind of a gamble, but a smart gamble.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to end up happening. I think they will end up taking Donato.
I think if you guys can get on board with it, yeah. What scares me is this will be his fourth team in almost nearly.
I know. Like I was just about to say, like, does it seem like he's older than 25 just based on like how much he's moved around? And
I mean, you had a lot of eyes on him. You watched a lot of Wild games, and
yeah, he started out hot when he got there, and then just like, and obviously it was a little bit of a different situation too. Like the Wild, they've changed a lot of their management and coaches lately, and maybe some of them didn't like him. Maybe he's not getting as much ice time. Like who knows what it was, but after those first few weeks where he was a rock star, kind of dropped off in Minnesota.
I'm going to say something mean about the San Jose Sharks. I'm going to say it. I feel at this point they're the team that they've become since Joe Thornton left and since other moves have happened, like Pavelski leaving. This is where players go to cash out and get a little sun. This is
live the good life.
This is where you go to finish your career. This is
where you go to finish your career and pay more taxes.
The new Miami. Miami became good at hockey, and San Jose became. I don't know, man. I this team does not excite me, and they should. On paper, they should. And I mean, I don't think I watched a single San Jose game all season. And
really?
Who am I watching? I
like Evander Kane.
I like Kane too.
I think that guy's just good all around player. He's fun to watch.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. He's electric. He's the Lano draft pick. I was a huge fan. I was so excited. I think he was the highest drafted black player in the history of the sport at the time. I think he still might be. No, up until Byfield.
Yeah, Byfield.
I mean, I was really excited for him, but he's got a little bit of a Johnny Manziel to him, and he's electric. But I mean, I'm more excited to see if he fights Jake Paul. Like that's where I'm at with him.
Jake's not going to take him.
Can we lock that one in?
No, Jake doesn't take that. Can
fight. I take Jake Paul? I'd rather take Jake Paul.
All right, let's Ryan Donato lock it in.
Yeah.
Okay, done.
Okay. Let's see here. Let's stay out west, as they say. Arizona. This is to me the worst. This is the worst.
Worst list?
Yes.
Really? Let's see.
I don't know, man. Ottawa is still really dry. I don't know if it's that bad.
There's two players. To me, there's two players you pick from, and both of them don't have the ceiling that anybody else has had in terms of gambles.
All right. I mean, since you are so passionate about the Arizona and this terrible list, who do they take?
All right, okay, let's look at the defense real quick. You don't take any of their top three defensemen. You don't take Goligoski. You don't take Hjalmarsson. You don't take Jason Demers because first of all, if you might be able to get them on lower deals, don't get me wrong, but you don't take them, right? You sign them afterwards, right? There's this. I can't even pronounce the last name, but Lybushkin. I've seen him pop up a few times on a few lists, but I've never watched him play a game, never seen him play, and I just don't know his game. Right, so he could be great. I like Antti Ranta. You don't take that goaltender though, and he's also UFA. You just don't do it. You look at the forwards, so you pick at the forwards, and that's fine. They've got good forward players, but their best players are locked up. Right, you're not taking Andrew Ladd. That's not happening. Derek Brassard, UFA. Braden Burke, RFA, not as exciting. John Hayden hasn't been able to pan out. So you're really down to two. You're down to Tyler Pitlick, who is, again, a third-line guy. Doesn't have it. He's 29 years old, but he's on a good
Who's
contract.
been a third-line guy and is going to continue to be a third-line guy, I think.
Right. He's not changing, right? Which is fine. If you want to have depth, he's the Ryan Reeves of his drafts. Perhaps Ryan Reeves is the machine, but you knew what you were getting is what I'm saying, right? Christian Fischer is the one guy who's got the upside at 24, but he hasn't had the opportunity to kind of break out yet. So it's between Pitlick and Christian Fischer to me. Now you might say, hey, I've been watching Blake Spears since he was born and he's the next great guy. Good on you. You've had more scouting than me. I don't know it, but
this is not the time for any of the Tyler Steenbergen fans to come out to our mentions. You know what I mean? Like, you can keep that quiet to yourself.
Right. So am I crazy for being an asshole?
Yeah, no, this is like one of the least exciting picks out there. I mean, and I'm just going to go out and say mine. Like, my thought is they're going to take Christian Fischer. And
yeah,
I have nothing, fantastic to say about it, nothing negative to say about it. I just think that's the way they go. That's what's going to happen.
I got on board with that, especially he's an RFA, and he could be a good asset to move in the future if he starts to do a little bit better with more ice time.
Yeah.
I think Fischer's the one. I do like Gauthier quite a bit, but I think Fischer is the one where you have a little bit more upside. Gauthier has very much proven what he is and kind of how he's, been throughout the league. So Gauthier is a little bit more intriguing, and you definitely know what you're getting, and you're getting a lot of size, but I think Fischer makes the most sense.
Lock it in. I think I think every list has Christian Fischer as the guy. I think everybody in the entire list, it's like, who else do you take?
It just kind of makes too much sense. I don't know.
There's no one else. No.
Yeah.
The only other thing that's interesting here is Oliver Ekman-Larsson's still at play. We don't know what's going on here. He's going to be moving, but to where? He's said two teams really he's willing to waive his no movement clause to. Really.
Toronto.
Toronto.
You'd have to hope.
Yeah, Boston and Vancouver. And Seattle's right next to Vancouver. If there's a deal in place and he's like, all right, screw it.
That's not something I thought about, yeah.
But he also would want to compete. He wants to go for a cup, and he's just had a bet. I mean, great players. I mean, Shane Doan is the most is as good as Paul Bissonnette and Shane Doan are the type of guy that Arizona loves. Loyal to the soil type of guys, and a lot of guys, I'm waiting for Clayton Keller to go, come on. Like, where do I go?
You think he's going to want to move?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude. Jeremy just came on the podcast. All right. So, Christian Fischer, lock it in?
Lock it in.
All right, let's move it along. Vegas?
They don't have
one. They don't have a team.
No, they can't have
What do we think about that?
Which is garbage. Absolute garbage.
You can't be that good and be like, nah, you're exempt. Like, you've been in the league 5 years. You've made more cup appearances than how many teams? You've made how many playoff? You've been to the Western Conference Finals how many times? Has Arizona ever been to the Western Conference Finals?
Yeah, but don't you think that's good retribution for everyone thinking that Vegas is going to be terrible? Everyone thought Vegas is going to be terrible. So I think going into it, I think it's fine. Should they have to give up a player? Probably, but I'm not super mad at it. I think they were at a disadvantage and no one expected them to be this good. And, credit to George McPhee off rip, like, developing this roster and, going as far as they have so far. So you're going to have people on either side of it. I'm not too stressed about it.
Hey, I'm excited the Rangers got Gerard Gallant as their new head coach who took that team to the Cup. Yeah. Still can't believe they let him go. All right, let's jump over to the Minnesota Wild, Derek's bread and butter.
Who have been making the headlines lately, surprisingly, but you don't get to see Minnesota Wild on the front page of NHL.com very much. But
Well, it was almost like a done deal that Matt Dumba was the guy, and then all of a sudden they buy out two of the gnarliest contracts in NHL history, and Ryan Suter and Zach Parise, and so all of a sudden they're safe again, which is really interesting. And this team is it's a deep team. I mean, you look at the forward group; they're deep, but they're kind of have a similar offensive group outside of, I'll say. Kaprizov and Kevin Fiala, they're not going to have any like high-end talent like that ready to go off rip unless.
Not right now. They got some prospects in the pipeline that they're hoping they hit on, but no. Besides Fiala and Kaprizov, it's definitely a by committee type of team.
Right.
The Zach Parise obviously getting bought out, that made sense. I was a little surprised with the Suter one, but they must have just wanted Dumba that bad, where they're like, okay, we can, get rid of Suter, eat that contract, even though he's still a viable player in the league. They just must think that highly of Dumba. Now, as far as who does Seattle pick, I think if you guys have been paying attention to what some people in Minnesota are saying, like Susi and Kakkonen are probably the two biggest names. My fingers are crossed that Bill Guerin can work out a deal where they pick Victor Rask. Since Ron Francis, I believe, drafted him as well.
He did.
So I would love to see
he made that trade as well. He made the trade to Minnesota.
That's right.
Well.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see that deal, but I don't think it's going to happen. And it's kind of weird because based on the what we've picked so far, we've kind of picked a lot of defensive prospects, guys who have a lot of upside. And I think Carson Soucy would kind of solidify a defensive spot there, maybe in like a 3-4 role on a poor defensive depth chart. But he could be like a 5-6 guy on a really strong defensive team. And then with Price, possibly dealing with some sort of injury, Kakkonen would be a really good get as a third goalie option. So it's interesting, but I think you can't shy away from a big, tall, good skating defenseman, 26 years old, and he's making $2.75 million. I think they take Soucy.
I had them taking Kakkonen up until the Drieger signing. I wanted it to be Price Kakkonen. I thought that was going to be an excellent one too, for cap purposes, for everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I still convinced they're taking Carey Price. So, but is Kakkonen? I mean, you're going to be like stifling great talent all of a sudden, who's ready to go, and he as your third goaltender. Do you do that?
See, that's the tough part, because Minnesota's been talking about him for a while, and he's got such great potential to be a starting goalie and an elite starting goalie. He showed flashes of it, and when Talbot was hurt, he came in, he played really, really well. I wouldn't say he was an absolute all-star, but he played well enough to be a starter in the league, I thought. So I was semi-surprised that they didn't protect Kakkonen instead of Talbot. I didn't think that Seattle would take Talbot, although Talbot's on a pretty good contract. I think he's making like 3.5 or something like that. But I thought they were going to protect Kakkonen and just live with if they took Talbot, Kakkonen's going to be our guy moving forward, and they would do that. But even with all that said, I just don't think they can pass on a solid defenseman who's he's been doing it for a while. Soucy is just kind of the guy.
Any takes, Tice? Quite on this one.
No, I really like Kakkonen, and I think, like you said, if Price wasn't in the agenda, I think it makes a lot of sense. And I really thought they would take a strong look at it, but I think Soucy makes a ton of sense. I think, like Derek said, it's tough to pass up, and someone that can really come in and be a physical presence and a strong skating, puck moving guy. I like Kakkonen quite a bit, but I do agree that I think Soucy's the pick.
Soucy, lock it in.
Lock it in.
Lock it in. And that's going to take us to our last selection here in the West, including Chicago. And this is an interesting one because this team is a bit of a mess, and that is the Colorado Avalanche right now. A lot of rumors coming around here. We can talk that Eric Johnson waived his no movement clause so that they could protect Jonathan Taves. They just traded Ryan Graves to New Jersey because they were at risk of losing him for nothing, which was a great trade. I liked Ryan Graves a lot, and I think really speedy guy in the back end. I still think about Mark Stone just burning him though in the playoffs, just in that foot race, and Ryan Graves like, how am I supposed to do that? Me flat-footed, just keeping up with Mark Stone in full stride. You can't do it. He looked beat. So Eric Johnson's on the table, 33.6 million, veteran guy. I say they stay away from that first off. But then you got to look at this. Landeskog was not protected because of the contract. And there's a lot talking there that he's looking for 7.5-8 mil from Colorado, and he's looking for 9 to 10 on the open market, which he could get. But so is there any names that jump out to you guys real quick in terms of because if I'm Seattle, I'm staying away from Landeskog because the UFA, he's going to go where he wants to go. He's a big name, yeah, but you're not going to, you got like 3 days to try to sign him if that's the case, and he's going to ask for it all, and he's just going to end up back in Colorado if you're asking me. But anything to pop out to you guys?
Tyson, what do you got on this one?
I agree. I think they stay away from EJ and Eric Johnson, and I do think there's some options. I think as much as I love TJ Tynan, Notre Dame alum and then former Columbus Blue Jacket, I don't know. You look at Ty Lewis, you look at Matt Calvert, you look at like a Donskoy or Kamenev. And
how did you know all about? Wait, can we go back to the fact that you knew all about TJ Tynan?
TJ Tynan. I went to a scouting camp at Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana, with him. That was his freshman year when he broke like the Notre Dame rookie scoring record or whatever it was, and then I was at like some scouting camp with him that summer where he was there like working and I was there skating.
Yeah, I think he was a Little Caesars guy, so I saw him around.
Yeah, he's little. I think he was Little Caesars, and then I met him.
He was in Michigan, so I saw him a little bit.
Yeah, I was going into his sophomore year at Notre Dame, whatever it was. Yeah, so it was his freshman year. He broke the Notre Dame scoring record or whatever it was, NCAA freshman record or whatever it was.
Fun fact: he was on the same Little Caesars team as Rocco Grimaldi, and they just tore it up.
Oh, well, in that case, you got to take him for the chemistry.
Circle. This is going to be the shortest team in the league, and they're just going to light it up together. So I interrupted. I'm sorry. Who's your?
No, I don't. I really don't know. I'm at a little bit of a loss. I think there's guys that I want them to take, and then I'm really not sure. Danny, you have the list in front of you. Maybe you can make a little bit more of an educated pick.
I mean, I can give you a take, which I haven't heard too many people give, but a guy I really like on the list is JT Compher.
I like JT Compher as well.
I really like him. I think he played a little bit of center for Colorado, and he can also play wing. He's versatile. I think when Kadri went down, he kind of stepped up in the power play position and on his line, and he did really well. So I think he was on third line, but whenever they needed a guy to move up, he was the one that kind of moved up in that top six and really performed well. So I think he would just be a great get at that cap. Middle six, second or third line guy. A proven player in the league, 26 years old at this point. So yeah, I think Compher's a really good option.
I was between him and Donskoy, so I'm all about. I'll back you 1,000% on that one.
Can we lock it in already?
Lock it in.
Let's just lock
it in. Let's just lock it in. Let's just do it. Let's be crazy. Oh my God. It feels like for those listening still are jumping in, this is section 3 of 4 of the Audible book series, E2G Hockey with Dan and Tyson. Chapter 3, where Derek finds love in all the wrong places.
Chicago's in the central.
And Chicago. Don't look at a map. All right. Well, this has been E2G Hockey with Dan and Tyson, with Derek Hess joining us. We'll be back with our 4th and final section where we cover the Metro/East/ whatever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back.